Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Blue is the New White podcast. Today's guest is none other than Jill Timushka, or, as she's otherwise known, Jill the Welder. Jill has had such a remarkable career, full of accomplishments and reward. She is a fourth-generation welder, and she knew that she wanted to follow in the family footsteps pretty early on. You can just tell the kind of passion she has for her trade by listening to her talk. For 25 years now, she's been saying that getting into welding was one of the best things that she'd ever done. It afforded her a remarkable life without student loan debt, making good money, and being an independent woman and a single mother. She has also started two businesses, is an instructor, and is about to embark on another journey filled with education and the opportunity to pass her wisdom and experience on to others who may benefit. So keep listening to hear all about Jill's journey through the trades and why she is so passionate about the industry that gave her this rewarding life. As always, this show's not monetized and we don't run ads. We rely strictly on word of mouth from listeners like you to grow the show. So if you enjoy this episode, please take a moment to rate it, review it, and share it. The future generations of trade people depend on it. They depend on you. So thank you again, and enjoy this episode of Blue is the New White with Jill the Welder. Jill, welcome to the show. We're happy to have you today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm really excited to get to know you and to hear all about your journey through the trades. So why don't we go ahead and kick that off? How did you get to where you are today, Jill?
Oh, it's a long story. I'll try to keep it as brief as I can. I've been in the trade 25 years now, including my apprenticeship. Way back when I was not fond of school, I wanted to get paid for that hard work that I was doing. So when I was finished with school, I got into I was working in the food and beverage industry. And as hard as that was, I enjoyed it. I did that for several years. And then I knew I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. So I started exploring things like the trades and other things. I actually really liked the idea of becoming a mechanic and working on old vehicles, making them beautiful again, right? But when I talked to my mom and dad about it, it was my mom that recommended that I try welding. My dad's a welder. I'm actually a fourth generation welder now, but my mom was raised with her four sisters, and her father always wanted her or her sisters to get into the trade, and none of them did. So it had been on her mind for many years, and she suggested it to me. So I tried welding with my dad, and I immediately loved it. I thought, why wasn't I doing this in high school? Why wasn't I doing this for the last several years? So I jumped right in. And I swear before I knew it, I was journeyman certified. It just seemed to just fly by. I got thrown in school about a month into it. I didn't even have a welding job yet. I didn't have my own steel toe boots or hat. The school called me and said, look, we've got an opening for two people that didn't show up. There's a woman attending. We think that might be easier for you if there's another female present. I said, sure, I'll be there. I was a hostess in a restaurant wearing dresses of all things. I hated dresses. I was a hostess in the evenings and welding during the day in school. So I just jumped right in, and seriously, no regrets. I just wish I would have started it sooner. So throughout my career, I have done, it's 25 years of reminiscing. It's hard to think of everything I've done. The only thing I know, I can say I have not done is pipeline. One of my favorite things is working in fab shops on pressure piping and vessels. I've also done a lot of plant work, like expansions, shutdowns, even maintenance for a long time. So I got my journeyman certification, and then I got my B pressure certification, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that is. That I do have my certificates back behind me. I wanted to show you my 4 generations back here. So the black and white photo is my great grandpa. That's his blacksmith shop. Right below it is my grandfather. The other two in the middle here are my father. He's a dual ticket, so he's B pressure certified welder, and he's a pipe fitter, steam fitter, and then that one's mine. I'm working on my blue seal certification as well, actually, right now. Hopefully by the end of the year, I will have that. But so B pressure certification, I did a lot of things, and then I decided it was time for me to have a kid. So I was 32, had a son. He's 15, he's 16 now. So for 15 years, I've been a single mom. So I've been doing this. I wasn't able to travel. So I did what I could locally. Um, I did a wee bit of travel a couple of years ago. I scooped him up. I threw him in the motorhome, him and the cat. And we went, we did a job in southern Alberta, which was very interesting. It was very challenging. Homeschooling at night and working 11 to 12-hour days. That was fun. I don't know if I would do that again, but it was worth an experience, worth a try. So yeah, I've done lots of things. I've done a lot of I've been an instructor in a couple of different locations with a couple of different courses. Where I'm from is in southern Alberta, called Medicine Hat, and down there, the artists in the community that I was doing work with through a business that I owned called Twisted Steel. The artist asked me if I wanted to teach a course for them to learn how to weld, and I said, well, sure, but I don't know where I could do that. So they had connections with the local college. So they connected me with them, and I started teaching a course. It was first called Welding for Artists, and then we changed it after a few years to Creative Ironwork. So I taught a lot of women the basics of welding. There were guys there too. I even taught two teenagers. They mastered the 14-inch Milwaukee chop saw. They thought that was probably the best thing about the course. But I've also taught in Calgary. I live just outside of Calgary, which is central Alberta. Right now, I've been here for about 7 years. I've been teaching at my union hall, UA Local 496, which is the school's called the Piping Industry Training School. I've taught high school students, CP Rail students. There is an amazing program that is called Tradewinds to Success, and it's adult Indigenous students learning a new trade, a career for them. So I teach the welding portion of that. That's what I just finished doing on Friday. And it's just amazing. I got to this last course, I taught 4 people how to weld, and they got their CWB certification. So that was really cool. I've also done a lot of speaking to groups. In Medicine Hat, I spoke with a group of troubled teens that were looking to find a path to success and financial freedom. I spoke to them. I even got lined up a tour of the college for them. So I spent 2 days with them. I've done the last 2 years, besides being an instructor for the last 8 weeks, I was filling in as National Manager of Youth, Diversity and Indigenous Relations with UA Canada. That took me traveling around across the country into the US. And I got to do a lot of public speaking there. I attended Tradeswomen Build Nations, the SWIT conference that's supporting women in trades and technology. I got to explore a lot of other aspects of the trades and how to recruit and retain. And I still feel like I haven't touched all the bases with the trade, especially being a woman in the trade, right? Now that I know the challenges and I've heard it across the country more, I know it was an issue. There were issues in Alberta, but now that I've heard it across the country, down into the States as well, we really need to do a lot of things about childcare. I thought it was just me for the longest time because I was a single mom and stuff like that, but it's men and it's women. We're all having the same struggle. Some locations kind of have a little bit figured out, but I really don't feel that we should rely on our family to look after our children just so we can have a job in the trade. So, like I said, there are ways to get around this. So that's kind of one of my goals is to, before I'm done on this planet, I want to help solve that problem. But you can get through it. I did. I managed. My son, like I said, is 16 now. He doesn't need me to line up a childcare for him anymore. But sometimes I wonder. Lunchtime can be pretty messy in the kitchen when I get home from work. So, but
and at 16, you're lucky if there's anything left in the fridge, right?
Exactly. Well, the healthy stuff is left. It's the good stuff that's gone, right? But yeah, there's always lots of carrots for me. I'm a vegan, so that's okay with me. But all the cookies are gone.
Oh my. Well, that sounds like quite the journey thus far, and it does not sound like you're done. which is absolutely remarkable. I mean, there's so much stuff there that I mean, it sounds like you've really done a lot, not only just in the industry, but to push the industry forward, which is fantastic. And I love connecting with people like that, like you, and being able to really dig into your story. So I've got a couple of questions here. So obviously, four generations of trade workers, in your family. Now, is that five including you?
No, when my son becomes a welder, which he
Ah,
wants to do, he'll be our fifth.
oh, okay. Okay, great. Which is fantastic. And that leads me to my question. When you were in high school, is that a direction that you were pushed to go, or were you pushed more towards the college university route?
It wasn't offered to me in high school, and I want to say that might have been like a previous gender issue. It wasn't. That's not something they really directed the girls towards. Was the trades, right? So no, to me, um, my mom told us we could do whatever we wanted to do with our lives. So really, I always knew that option, right? I could do whatever. If I wanted to be a doctor, I could do that. That was not interesting to me. I didn't enjoy school. So I had to find some way of being financially free, make good money, be proud of myself, have, a pension plan and have nice things, buy myself a house, a car, all of that without having to attend a lot of school. So waitressing was really good. I mean, it is fairly good money. You do have to work hard. But for me being a hard worker, um, I wanted that good pay. And seeing my dad being a welder with his good pay, it was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want something like that, right? Driven by independence. I have my one sister is a nurse. My other sister decided to raise a family. She has three kids. So she was like a, stay-at-home mom. So for me, it was, I could do whatever I wanted. And that's what I did. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do this trade thing. 2 months of school a year for 3 years. That's right up my alley.
No, that's fantastic, and hats off to you for making that decision. And I think that I mean, it sounds like you had very supportive parents, and it sounds like you probably had a little bit better idea of what was involved in trade work, more so than anyone that didn't come from a family of tradespeople like that.
Sure.
And because that's the narrative that I hear quite a bit, right? Is unless you have family in the trades, it's really hard to understand, all the benefits and all the opportunities and everything that's just involved in, skilled trades, right? And some high schools are doing fantastic with programs and things like that, and offering it as an option, but some aren't. And I happen to go to one of those schools that they really didn't have an emphasis on trade work at all. I had no idea what HVAC was until I was like 22, you know? And, so I always like to ask that question because I get such different answers from everybody that I talk to.
Well, and you make a very good point, because why aren't we pushing it in high schools, and why isn't every high school pushing it? Because we really should. Here in Canada, we're facing a shortage of 250,000 skilled tradespeople in the next 5 to 10 years due to a retiring workforce. And I mean, I promote to all. I am a woman in the trade. I am an underrepresented group of people in the trades, but we need to push it across the board. And I'm telling you, if you can work a hard job like waitressing or working in a warehouse or anything like that, you can join the trades. People think it's really dirty, but honestly, I found it to be no more physically challenging than waitressing, for welding anyways, right?
Yeah, and that's an important message, I think, to get across, because the general perception that today's youth has adopted comes from, a lot of the stereotypes and things like that we see on TV and in books and, in movies and stuff like that, where it's the overworked, greasy, tired mechanic, right? And I mean, let's call it what it is. We have this idea that's built up in our head when we're younger, and immediately we think to ourselves, well, I don't want to do that job. I don't want a career in that, because people will think I'm dumb. People will think, that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to have to work my ass off to get anywhere, and I'm going to have to get really, really dirty. And, I touch on that a lot in my book, and it's just true. I can't say it enough. Yes, some trades are dirty, some professions are dirtier than others, but it's all about how hard you're willing to work too, and where you can elevate yourself and where you can go. I started in a very dirty, greasy job, right? Fixing ovens and fryers and restaurant equipment and stuff like that. And yeah, parts of it were nasty, but it goes beyond that. You have to look past it, and really understand what lies ahead. Does that come off right?
No, that's exactly. We really did get a bad rap, and we still are getting a bad rap, and it's not true. Like, since I've been thinking about this interview, that we're having here, comparing it to waitressing is a good analogy, but also comparing it to being a nurse or a doctor. They're doing things that aren't pleasant that I wouldn't want to do. I don't want to deal with blood and, body fluids and stuff, but we need those people. And what I've also said too in the past when I'm speaking is we need doctors, lawyers, and nurses and all of those as well. And I will never be disrespectful towards that. If you want to go to school for a long time, all the power to you. But where do those people work? They work in office buildings. They work in hospitals. They work in professional buildings. And who builds those? We do. Where would they be without us? Right?
That's right.
So, especially in a hospital, you talk about running oxygen lines. We need clean water. We need to get rid of dirty water in a safe way. There's boiler rooms. There's all kinds of things that people don't think about when they're walking through a hospital, right? So where would they be without us? We need them just as much as they need, we need them just as much as they need us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's an honorable job. If anybody knows a tradesperson, whether it's somebody they're related to or a friend, and you drive through a city, they're always pointing, hey, I worked there. Hey, I did that. Like, I can't go to Medicine Hat now. And like, I'm driving by all the places I used to work, Can Carb, Methanex, the Canadian fertilizer plant, the water treatment, I've been all those places. And that's really a proud thing. And I think that's what gets my son interested too. But another thing that you mentioned too is a lot of times you think, or a lot of people that are joining the trade now is because they have a family member that's in the trade. And I think that's where we really need to focus right now. And I kind of feel like it's my duty as a woman in the trades for 25 years to start speaking, go and present to people, which COVID is kind of, I can't do it publicly, face to face, but I can do it through podcasts. I can do it through, speaking online and putting myself out there and sharing my story. I have shared my story a little bit in the last year through Skills Canada, Skills Ontario, through the CWB, Weld Magazine. Like, there's a few places that I've put myself out there, but I feel like it's my duty now to get out there and share my story and say, you know what, I did it 15 years as a single mom, do it. I'm so proud of myself. I've got a lot. I'm not done yet either. Right? I've got plans. We'll talk about those later.
Yeah. And I relate so much to what you're saying, because it's the absolute truth. Like you said, doctors and lawyers, all of those professions that are on this pedestal, right? That people regard as just some of the best jobs around, which, again, to each their own. Right. But one of my goals is to get the trades regarded on that same level. You know what I mean? And like you said, I will not fault anybody if they want to go to college, if they want to go to university, if they know what they want to do. And, there's certain education that you need to get in order to achieve that. So I'm not anti-education. I'm pro the right education for the right individual. You know what I mean? And I think that it's just so important that be brought to light, because there are so many more opportunities that people have no idea of, in all of these different professions, the skilled trades included. The skilled trade's a big one, obviously. And it just, nobody understands it. Nobody knows it. They think that doctor, lawyer, that's the top, when it's really, it shouldn't be here and here. It should be here. Actually, I was just reading Forbes this morning. I think I posted something on LinkedIn. But the number one woman entrepreneur in America is Diane. What was her last name? I don't remember. Her name was Diane, and she started ABC Supply. All right, but she started off in the roofing industry. She's worth $8 billion with a
Wow.
B. I mean, that is, people need to understand that. Not only was she a woman in the trades, but she scaled that business to be one of the biggest businesses in America, and it all
That's
started with
amazing.
the skilled trades,
Yeah, and it's similar to your story.
similar. I'm nowhere near 8 billion. Holy cow.
But you're up
I'd
there.
be doing this podcast from a beach, you know. but it is, it's true. People just don't see the opportunity. I hear time and time again of stories when people were in high school and their counselor, actually, I think one of my podcasts was also with somebody from Calgary, Bob Baker. He's a plumber out there, and he was telling me a story that his counselor told him that he was too smart to be a plumber. And stuff like that makes me sad, right? Because thank goodness he didn't listen to them. Well, he did for a second, but then he backtracked, after college didn't work out, and he became a plumber. He has his own plumbing company, and he's worth millions of dollars because he chose to get into a trade that allowed him to succeed in something that he was passionate about. And
well, I think, yeah, you're saying so many things that I can resonate with. Doing something that you're passionate about, your heart happy. You're happy inside, and that radiates outward. You're a good mother. You're a good friend. You're a good spouse. You're good to everyone when you're happy inside. And I have heard people say, don't do something that you're passionate about because you'll end up hating doing it. I don't hate welding. I still love welding. And one little thing that I do mention sometimes, and it might sound a little crazy, I love the smell of burning 6010. People like the smell of apple pie. I like 6010. It's like a campfire to me. I smile. I'm happy. I'm so happy in that little area. But yeah, I don't know why they think that tradespeople are stupid, especially plumbing and pipe fitting. You need to do a lot of math. Trigonometry is not my favorite thing. I was just doing it with my son last year. When COVID hit, I had to help him with schoolwork. You do a lot. There's a lot of math. There's a lot of, with welding, you learn a lot of metallurgy, right? I wasn't expecting that when I went to school. It might not have been my favorite thing, but now that I know it, it makes sense, right? Tradespeople aren't stupid by any means.
No.
By any means. And working with your hands, I was told a long time ago that working with your hands, you should work with your brain, not your hands, right? Well, no, some people are naturally creative. We need to see something. We have to create something in order to be personally satisfied and proud of ourselves. And that I fit in that all the time. When I was a waitress, what do I have to show for it? Dirty dishes, not much, right? So I really needed that satisfaction of joining the trade. Yeah, it's I don't know why we've got a bad rap. It's just, yeah, it's crazy. And the amount of money that we can make, I don't preach that a whole lot. I don't want somebody to join a trade because of what you're going to make. But let me tell you that the tradespeople that I know, especially the ones that have been in it for a long time, have a lot to show for it. They have those holidays. They have the vehicles they want. They have the house. They have the happy life. So, that's another plus.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And even these days, I think it's becoming a little bit more widely known what kind of money can be made in the trades. I see it all the time. And that might just be, reflective of my network on LinkedIn and social media. They're all, tradespeople. But I feel like it has come to light a little bit more. And what I like to do is I like to use that as a hook to get people interested to say, oh, wait, you can make how much? And then go into the other benefits of the trades that people don't understand. Because, I've found that, when you ask kids in high school what they want to be when they grow up, a lot of them know. A lot of them, A, base their decision on how much money they can make, or B, they don't have a decision, but money is their end game, right? They don't understand yet the other benefits and work-life balance and, all of that kind of stuff that they need to start thinking about. I mean, when I was a kid, money was everything to me. I bought fast cars and video games and stuff like that. And of course, when I'm 15 years old, you ask me what I'm going to be doing when I'm 35. I'm going to say, well, I'm going to be racing cars and playing video games. Obviously, what else would I be doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I like to use it as a hook and then go into, the other benefits that people just don't know much about but may care about. One of the things I hear a lot is from tradespeople all over. I ask what the most satisfying part of what they do is, and time again, I hear the same answers. It's the ability to help people. It's to make a difference in their community, even change the world. Because as you alluded to, where would anybody be without tradespeople, right? The buildings that we're in, the chairs that we're sitting in, the cars that we drive, the streets that we drive on, all of it is a result of the trades. So you want to make a difference in the world, why not be part of the industry that actually manufactures it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, and there's other aspects too, like you were saying earlier about the person in Calgary who started a plumbing company. He went to college, obviously. And we do have a lot of people that go to college, university for a while, and then decide that that's not really what they want. That's not, number one, it's not going to make them maybe as much money as they thought. They have all these student loans now they have to pay off, and they're not happy. So they come to the trades after that. But yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. But it's, there's a lot of other doors that open for us when we join the trades like he did. He started a business, right? And he's making a lot of money right now. So you have to, I've done that. I've opened my own business. I just started a second business now that we can talk about in a little bit. But, there's more to it. Like when you're in the trades, you can become a foreman. I know lots of young foremen who are just kicking it. Like they are really doing well, not financially. They're happy. They like what they're doing. And that was kind of their goal. And when you've taken that step to be a foreman, you can become a general foreman. You can become a supervisor. You can start your own company, it goes on and on and on. Like me being national manager for 20 months, filling in an interim position. I never saw that coming. I never did, but there it was right in front of me. They offered it and I said, yeah. Oh, do you want to think about it? No, I don't need to. I want to do that. I want to experience that. And being an instructor too. There's so much more to joining the trades. I had no idea 25 years ago, all the doors that would open. I knew a few things. Yeah, I can be a foreman. Yeah, I can maybe own a business, but seriously, there's just so much more to it.
Oh, absolutely. And the satisfaction that you can get when you finally reach a point where you're comfortable passing your knowledge on to somebody else, because I like to relate that back to the trades because, at heart, we like to fix things. We like to build things. We like to take a step back and like you said, look at our accomplishments. We have pride in what we do. And it's one thing to do that with objects, right? It's one thing to do that using materials. But when you do that with a human being, that's like the next level of satisfaction. You know what I'm saying? To be able to instill that in another human being and take a step back and say, I helped this person succeed. I helped this person build and manufacture not only who they are, but who they're going to be. I think that's like next level tradesperson right there.
That's a pride that you can't even explain. Like you just kind of glow from the inside, and you don't have to say it. You don't have to talk about it. Does it give you bragging rights? I suppose, but I think there's just satisfaction in that. And if you can go home happy, like I said, that beams into the rest of your world, right? You're just a happier, better person, right? And believe me, I think we need more of that.
Yeah. I like to call that success by your own definition.
That sounds good. Yes, I like that.
So I had a question. I know I'm kind of backtracking and a little bit, but you said that you had at one point wanted to restore old automobiles. That's a pretty first of all, that's an awesome hobby. I've got a 65 Stingray sitting in my garage right now that I've been having some fun with. I just finished restoring it. When did I finish that? Early this year, right before COVID, I think, which was
nice.
Perfect timing. So I'm curious a little bit about that. Why didn't you pursue that route? Why'd you go welding over that?
Well, what I was doing, I was exploring it a little bit. I talked to a few mechanics that I knew, and I said, I'm thinking about getting into it. And they all told me that I would hate it. And I thought, no, I'm not going to hate it. My heart's in it. They said, oh, you'll swear a lot and you'll have busted knuckles. I said, well, I don't know. Who says I don't do that when I'm a waitress? But no, it really was an interest. It was trying welding. I just loved welding when I tried it, and I thought, no, this is the way I want to go. It still doesn't mean I'm not interested in fixing up old vehicles. I might. I hopefully I can settle down a little bit. My life has been just so busy for the last 2 or 3 years. It's been pretty crazy. But once my son gets maybe a little older, 16 now, he's maybe 17, 18. Maybe I will buy an old vehicle. Maybe I'll throw it in the garage and see. Maybe some mom-son time. Maybe he can teach me a thing or two from these classes he's taking at high school. There's nothing saying I still won't do that, but welding is the trade of choice. I actually, my dad is an old vehicle lover. He gave me for my birthday one year his old welding rig. It was a 71 Ford F350 with a welding deck on the back. I absolutely loved it, but it sat in the driveway or sat in storage, and I never drove it. I never used it because I wasn't a rig welder. I couldn't travel because I was a single mom. So it sat, and I loved it. I prized it because it was my father's. And then finally I just came to realize it's sad. It needs the love. It needs the attention. I know, there's a lot of maintenance that should be done that it wasn't getting done. It still ran, and I would take it for a drive every once in a while, but it just broke my heart to see it sitting there. So I finally, I think about 2.5 years ago, I parted with it, but I was very choosy in who it went to. There's a fellow that lives a few hours from here who is going to get it working on the pipeline again. And that just makes my heart so happy. So, I don't know, I am going to buy something, I think, and fix something up. Maybe I might hire somebody to do it. Maybe I'll look over their shoulder and watch. I have some friends in Medicine Hat that do that. So I did get to hang out with them a little bit way back when. And I love that. I love the thought of that. But it might still happen. Hopefully I can get my hands dirty.
Very, very cool. And, I asked that with a purpose because, a lot of people, they often tell me that, once they get into the trades and they learn the fundamentals, whether it be HVAC or welding or, bricklaying or construction or whatever it may be, there's a certain set of fundamentals that you start to learn and appreciate when working with your hands, right? And it almost makes it so you want to get your hands on anything that you possibly can. Like my wife laughs at me all the time because, she says, oh, the toaster oven's broken. I said, no, it's not. Let me look at it. But it doesn't matter what it is. Like if it's a toaster oven or if it's the fridge or, if it's one of my daughter's toys or something. No, I feel like, Tim the Toolman Taylor, more power, Well, what can I do?
That's so true. Yeah. That's really funny that you say that because when I do the same, if the eaves trough is leaking, I'm up there and I'm fixing it. If there's, and I limit myself. I don't do, too much electrical. I do a little electrical, but I don't want to burn the house down. But yeah, I do a lot of those things. I don't know what my neighbors think of me. I really don't care, but I'm always up there doing stuff, digging something and planting something. I just built a wall on one side of my deck because I was missing a section of railing, and I fostered dogs, and it looked like they wanted to jump the fence. So anyways, I'm always doing something. But to look back, when I was growing up, I was the one that was fixing the TV. My mom tells a story of when, I don't know how old I was, little though, she bought me a doll stroller for Christmas, and I'm the one that insisted on assembling it myself. And I always did. We didn't have IKEA way back then, but still IKEA, if it comes and it needs to be assembled, I was the one to do it. My sisters used to call me and say, hey, come over. I just bought this and I need it put together. Give you $20. Sure, whatever. So yeah, I guess it's always been in there.
So you used to put things together. I used to take them apart. My parents used to get pissed at me because I remember one Christmas they got me this nice set of like Rock'em. It wasn't Rock'em Sock'em robots. It was something a little bit more advanced. They were like these little robotic things that, they were kind of remote control and they would fight. And the first thing I did after I opened it up is took it all apart. And they were like, "What are you doing? We just spent like $100 on that. Why are you taking it apart?" I said, I have to know how it works, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you see, it was in you all along. Like I say with the welding, I think it was in my blood just because I'm fourth generation, and that's probably why I love the smell of that 6010. It just totally is in me. But yeah, I think people don't realize that they are tradespeople. Maybe they need to start opening their eyes and saying, "Hey, I like building. Hey, I like creating." Like people that are crafty. I particularly don't like a certain, you know, crafts to a certain degree. When you give me a hunk of steel, I can make anything out of that. I actually wrote a poem. This is kind of funny. And when I get my website up and rolling, I'll be posting it. It's called My Red Hat. I was taking some online courses when I was pregnant, and I took an English course, and they wanted me to write a 1,500 word free verse poem about something I knew a lot about. And I was like, I don't know a lot about anything except for welding. I wrote this poem, and I explain in there about my love of the trade. So it's kind of fun. My red hat. I'll send it to you.
I'd love to read that. That would be awesome. I'm looking forward to you sending that over. So let's get into something a little bit deeper. Um, how difficult you had said that it was a challenge, right? When you had your son and you were still in the trades and you were working, you were homeschooling for a little bit. It sounds like. So talk to me a little bit about that challenge and how you overcame and still were able to focus on your career and being a mother at the same time.
Well, so when my son was little, he was 10 months old when him and I went on our own. So he was very little. He was, kindergarten. And then just when I was homeschooling him was just this last little bit, right, when COVID hit. So I'm not a teacher of trigonometry and stuff like that, but, I figured it out. And that's just it. You figure it out. When my son was little, I took the first year of his life off. So because I had a pretty good idea he'd be my one and only. I was 32 when I had him. He was my focus, and so I took the first year off with him, and then I tried to go back to work, and he was having some medical issues. I didn't know he had some food allergies, and that's when I found out. So I had to have some pretty understanding employers, and a lot of the jobs that we have in the trade are short. They're for 6 months, 8 months. So I was kind of lucky that happened, because after the 6 month stint, I would have some time to spend with him. And trying to balance doctor appointments and asking family to help is really, it was the help of my family and my son's father that got me through it all, right? It's very hard to raise a kid alone. I guess you can't do it. But I had a lot of help, but having an understanding employer, and I think that happens more and more now than it did before. There's a lot of single fathers out there. There's a lot of people that maybe have been separated and they have their kids for 1 week and then the mother has the kid for the other week. They share that. And employers themselves. Family, I don't know why family wasn't a priority back then. It just seems like it's more of a priority now. Maybe too many people grew up not seeing one of their parents because of working too much, and they're swearing that they're not going to do that themselves. Maybe that's what it is, but things have changed, and I'm glad it has. We're still not where I want it to be. I want daycares to start opening earlier in the day and staying open later. That's kind of my goal, because they don't open when our shifts start. They need to be open before then. Trust me, nobody wants to leave their kid in a facility for 12 hours a day, Monday to Friday. But if I have to start at 6, the daycare has to open at 5, right? Yep. And that was another thing. I did hire someone at one point to come into my home, look after my son, take him to school, and then I picked my son up after school. So I limited his amount of time in school. You just figure it out, and I'm happy to see that family is really being recognized as being important. We say all the time with UA, family first. If you need to take a day off because your son or your daughter or all of your kids are sick, or your ailing parents or your partner, then you do that. Family first, because you only get one chance to see those kids grow up. Or, we're way past thinking that working so much that your relationship ends. it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. So I'm glad we've seen that shift where our priorities are where they should be. That was one of the barriers that I overcame, was the childcare. Yeah.
That makes sense. I've got a technician here that works for me in Phoenix, and he's a fantastic tech and a phenomenal person, and he's a single dad. And I'm relating a lot of this to the struggles that he's had. Especially being in HVAC and restaurant equipment. I mean, everybody wants us there at 6 a.m. Everybody wants us there at 5 a.m. And that was one of the things that he had to overcome as well. Now, thankfully, again, back to family, he's got a sister in town, so she was able to help out. But as employers, we're looking at this like, okay, you're a great person, you're a great technician, we want you aboard. Let's figure out how we can make this work. And if that's an adjustment of scheduling, overlapping of shifts, whatever we have to do, to make it work, that's what we do. And that's what we've been doing, and it's been working out phenomenally, and he's able to have the time he needs to pick his son up from school and drop him off. And, so I think you're right. There has been a big shift in the mindset of, priorities and what constitutes a priority. I think, long ago, not even that long ago, I'd say maybe as recent as 20 years ago or so, the focus was a little bit more when you thought about family, the focus was, finances, right? Being financially stable, and people equated that to your job. And so employers, if you ask me, their perception of family first was, well, the provider works as much as they have to work to provide for their family, and that's being family first. And that has since shifted, to your point, to, well, it's not necessarily just about the finances, it's about, the time, because that's what you can't get back.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very true. And even with the finances, I think, I don't know what it's like where you are, but here it's very hard to be able to afford a comfortable life, not an elaborate life, but a comfortable life on one income. So even if you're not a single parent, you really a lot of times need both parents working in order to be able to pay for a nice house. Not, like I said, not super elaborate, but yeah, sometimes you do have to really make accommodations, but family first. I'm glad that I'm seeing that shift, because even your partner, not just your children's lives, sometimes you miss out so much time with your partner that it just takes its toll. And I know a lot of people that, have been through that, and we don't need to. So let's stop doing that, right? Family first.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about, you said you just started a business 2 months ago. I want to hear about that.
Yes. Well, and I had this idea many years ago, and the more I go through what I go through and what I see and how I feel that my life is being pushed in a direction, the more I thought that this business was critical. So end of August, I started to design it. In September, I got my business license and stuff. I'm still not up and running yet, but I've only had 2 days of no work. Right. I just finished my last job on Friday. So I'm going to really hit it hard this week and develop my website and I don't know what else, Facebook, my social media stuff, maybe even YouTube. I don't know. But yeah, my business is called Trailblazers Inc. And it is about attracting people to the trades that wouldn't necessarily consider this, a career choice. So it's, now I do, because I am underrepresented, there's not very many women in the trades. It is kind of a push for women, but it's everybody. I think everybody really needs to consider it. I know that working in the trades in other countries is really frowned upon. They really look down upon it like it's a dirty job. And it's really not. When you come here, we do things cleanly, we do things safely, and it may not be that way in a different country, So I want to see new Canadians really, really hit this and think about this, because you can make such a good living. You can raise a family on this, right? and you can bring, both partners can work in the trade. That I love, right?
Yeah.
Like couple team up, right? Both make good money, and then your children can follow in your footsteps. Like, it just grows and grows and grows. But Trailblazers, that's what it's going to be. Now with COVID being, limiting, in-person appearances, a lot of what I do is going to be online, which might not be such a bad idea because I am going to be working full-time as well. I'm also, this year is my year of education. I have been taking courses since March online. The ones that were going to be in person got switched to online. So by the end of the year, I'm going to have my Blue Seal certification, which is the business aspect of the trades, which is another avenue people can take. I'm also going to be taking my level 1 welding inspection certification. I have a course scheduled for, it starts in about 3 weeks, starts mid-November. And I'm also going to get into welding examination, become a welding examiner. So there's a lot going on, right? There's a few more avenues that, which is funny because my grandfather was an inspector. So for me to become an inspector too is also still staying within that family history, right? So, yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm very excited to see, where you take that. And to your point, with COVID and everything else going on right now, I don't want to call it a blessing in disguise. That almost feels wrong, but I like to find opportunities in any situation that's thrown at us. And, I think with online too, you have an opportunity to expand your reach a little bit more than you otherwise would, being able to focus on something that can be seen by eyes all over the world. Which I know your push is for Canada, which is great, and that's awesome. But the more people that can see it, the better, right?
Absolutely. No, I mean, if I'm going to go online and be on YouTube and everything, I'm going to be speaking to everyone, everywhere, right? Yeah. I'm just familiar with the curriculum and the regulations for trades in Canada. But I mean, if all I'm sharing is my story in order to inspire others, I mean, maybe I'll be adapting my programs to other languages so it can be seen in other countries, right?
There you go.
I do have a lot of close friends within the United Association in the United States, and I hope that they will get on board with my business and maybe shout out a few messages through Trailblazers Inc.
Absolutely. Well, and let me know what I can do to help as well. I don't know if you know this about me before Blue is the New White and the podcast and all of that. Back in 2013, I was actually one of the first ones to start a YouTube channel all about repairing restaurant equipment. So
Wow.
basic, really basic, where people can't get hurt, basic, maintenance and repair and stuff like that on restaurant equipment. And it has been a huge success since then. And, I've had the opportunity to help people all over the world fix a lot of the issues that they would otherwise have to call service in for. So if there's anything that I can do to help, or if you need any advice on the YouTube aspect of it, I can certainly lend you some.
Thank you. I would really appreciate that. Yes, it's something I have not explored a whole lot. Like I said, I've been pretty busy. I haven't done a lot of research into that, but that's the direction I want to go. So yeah,
very cool.
Thank you.
And is that now there's another business that you own too, correct?
I did close it a couple of years ago. My ornamental ironwork business was called Twisted Steel. So that I did more part-time, on the side. I did a lot of fun things. The weirdest thing I think I ever made was a gong. And I did 200 bar stools for a local bar in Medicine Hat. I was having nightmares about those bar stools. That was fun. But no, I closed it down. I was just done with it. So, but yeah, this is my new exciting thing.
No,
and if
I
go into welding inspection and weld examiner, I'm not sure. I might be doing a separate business for that and then contract out.
Very cool. And it sounds like you have your hands full with everything that you're doing right now anyway. And you know what? This plays right into my point of the podcast too, because one of the things I always like to say, I said it already once on this show, success by your own definition, right? And that's what I like to push is, we don't want to push anybody into what our idea of success is, and assume that's going to be theirs too. We want to encourage them to draw their picture of success and do what they need to do to work towards that. But what I've found, what everybody in life has found, is your definition of success changes, right? Year after year, your priorities change, who you are changes, and therefore your definition of success changes. I had mentioned that when I was 15 years old, my definition of success was, beating a video game and, winning a street race. And that was it. That was success to me.
Did you ever achieve that? Did you ever do that?
Several hundred times, but don't tell anybody. But as we grow up, right, and we kind of start to understand who we are and what we truly value, that's when our definition of success changes. And one of the beautiful things about the trades is it gives us the flexibility to change with our definition of success. I was able to take this company, that I came into with my dad and turn it into something that I considered successful. And that was, thriving on accomplishment basically every day. And that's still a definition of success, but, it changed also when like my daughters were born. My definition of success wasn't, hey, buy the big house on the mountain bluff. My definition of success changed to, well, how can I provide them with a life that's going to make them happy and successful now by their definition? And so, kind of to your point, having Twisted Steel and now, embarking on this year of education that you're having and doing all this learning, I mean, it sounds like your definition of success has changed as well. And what you're doing is affording you the ability to still pursue that.
Yeah. And as you say that, I would like to call it an evolution. You evolve, you change, you grow, you roll with the punches, right? Now that my son is 16, I have more freedom to go to school. Like I can, if my courses were in another city, I could go for a week and I don't worry too much. The kitchen will be a mess, but other than that, I don't worry too much, right? No, we evolve and we have to roll with it. And being able to follow your heart like I am, I think I'm pretty lucky, right? And I never forget that. To be able to be in the trade for so long and learn on the tools, on the job sites from the great people I've worked with, really made me who I am. Having the support of my parents was really wonderful. And then, changing and getting into the other roles that I've got into, like being an instructor to me is very rewarding. It is very challenging, but it's very rewarding too. Like you really are creating a possible career path for them and you want to be as positive and inspirational as you possibly can. Because if it's not necessarily a make or break, but it could be. If somebody is struggling and you're not there to help them, they might give up, and you don't want that because they're there for a reason. They want to learn, and to me, to be able to do all the things that I have done, I really feel obligated to share my story. 25 years in the trade. I'm not the only woman that's done that, but I want to hear all the stories of all the women that have been in the trade for a very long time and get the word out there, not just for women to join the trades, but everyone. I mean, like I said before, if you can do something like waitressing or, something that is kind of fast paced and you're a hard worker, you can join the trades. It's just a whole different kind. Instead of, sweeping the kitchen floor, you'll be sweeping a shop floor in the beginning. And instead of, scrubbing plates, you'll be maybe grinding or using a torch. It's, to me, having a member in the family there to help me start to begin my journey was very good. But now we do have courses. Especially in the Calgary region in Alberta, we have lots of programs. Empower is a group of women in the trades that they're learning the very basics to see if that's the path they want to go down. And I get to speak to them. I've spoke to, 4 or 5 different groups in the last couple of years. There's a CWB Women of Steel program that's learning how to weld. I mean, there's a lot of programs now that you can go to the college and just try for, say, 6 months, try a bunch of different trades and see where your heart is. Things are changing and I'm really happy to see it. But I think the more that people like you and I push and get the word out there and talk and have these podcasts and share our story, whether it's in a magazine or a podcast or YouTube or anytime. If we can present right at a high school, I mean, we need to be everywhere though. So maybe online's the best way to go. I really think that this is critical. It's very critical. You know, your story is different than mine. You have a very successful company now, and your company evolved and stuff like that. And I think that's very, not a lot different. We're both tradespeople, but your story is different than mine. So sharing them both is just, it's key. It's critical. We need to do this.
Absolutely. People just need to know what opportunities exist, all the opportunities that exist in all forms that they do. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but as long as we're still on the topic of success, there's something that I like to ask everybody. And you kind of alluded to it a little bit, you know, in your last response. But today, if you could articulate exactly what your definition of success is, how would you do that?
Oh, I want to inspire others to join the trade. I also want to at least help eliminate some of the barriers that stand in, not just for women, like I said earlier, for women and men. This childcare issue needs to be solved sooner rather than later. Discrimination, we need to stop discrimination. It really needs to stop in the trades or anything you do, anything in the world. People need to know that they have options. I think getting our you know, what we like to talk about out there and saying that the trades is not frowned upon, I think those would be signs of success for me. Sure, I'd like to have a mansion in the mountains someday with, you know, I don't know, a really nice view. I live not far from Banff, so that would be a nice thing. But I'm not here for the money. I'm really here to help people, you know. That to me would be success.
I love it. I love it so much. Jill, I wish that we had just hours and hours and hours to talk, because I could definitely just sit and talk to you all day. And there's so many topics on here that we didn't get to that I wanted to. So maybe, you know, one of these days in a couple of months we could have you back on the show and you know, talk about some of the things that we didn't have an opportunity to today. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your time. And coming on the show. Is there a way that people can find you?
Well, before I get to that, I agree, and I'm totally open to having another conversation with you. I could talk hours about this, and I have. Some people are, you know, enough, but I'm totally open with more conversation. But yes, how to get a hold of me, trailblazersinc.ca will be up and running, hopefully by the end of the week. But I'm always on LinkedIn. And if anybody wants to Google my name and see a little history about me, and you'll see things, projects I've done with my business and things like that. Yeah, LinkedIn. I just found out that some of the girls taking the Empower course have been stalking me through LinkedIn, and I'm totally fine with that. Connect with me, watch what I'm doing. If you want to have a conversation through LinkedIn, I'm completely open to that. But Trailblazers Inc. will be a way to connect probably at the end of the week, hopefully. I know I have to learn how to develop a website. So,
you can learn that in a week.
Yeah, I think so. I think I can do it. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm just honored. I'm so grateful to see you doing what you're doing. We need more people like you, and maybe one day we'll have like a big group of people like us, like Judeline Cassidy from Tools and Tiaras. You know, maybe we can do a group get together and record that and put that out there too.
That's a fantastic idea, Jill, and thanks again so much for your time and coming on the show. You have a remarkable story, and likewise, you know, the trades needs more people like you. So, thank you so much for what you do and for your time today.